Hey guys, it's me, Brendaline Johnson. Today I am streaming live. I want to talk about attachments, spiritual attachments, and I also want to talk to you about authoritative trauma and how to discern if you have an attachment or if you're experiencing the voices of authoritative trauma. The reason why, excuse me, the reason why I wanted to do this video is one of the clients that I'm working with in my advanced program is very clairaudient, right? Is very clairaudient. Also, I want to say thanks for joining me live. If you're here live, say hello. We could chat a little bit. Or if you're watching the replay, push like, subscribe to my channel, all the good things. And you can follow me on Instagram at I am Brandaline. But again, was talking to one of my clients that's in the advanced Awaken program. And she's very clairaudient. She could hear voices outside of her head. She could hear the actual voices, the actual tonality of the voices in her head, out of her head. She's very, very talented at what she does, but she also has struggled a little bit with trauma, like most of us have, especially if you're going through your spiritual awakening. I guarantee you've had some sort of trauma, right? It just makes you more aware or apt to what you're experiencing around yourself. So for example, so one of the things is she didn't want to open herself up and she didn't want to communicate and work through the program because she was scared that she had an attachment and that this attachment was going to come through when she's opening her energetic field to communicate with the people inside the program that I have for her, which is a very smart thing to do, to be responsible. So if you felt like you had an attachment, you're not going to be wanting to do any spirit work until you get rid of said attachment, right? And when I'm talking about attachments, I'm talking about like an energetic attachment or an actual spiritual attachment. It's like something negative. It's consuming your energy. It it talks shit to you, like, right? So I guess let me describe what attachment would do. It talks shit to you. It talks shit about everybody else outside of yourself. It may start talking to you about self-harm. It makes you feel like a piece of shit. It may also befriend you a little bit. So almost like this crazy relationship with like an energetic attachment that somehow found you and attached onto you, right? But because there's such a defined thing between, like, I don't even want to say this is our real life, right? But what you're conscious of in this third dimensional life, where you're thinking, mental health versus this whole spiritual world, right? It's so important for us to understand what an attachment is, but also understand, do you really have one? And this is the conversation that I had with my client yesterday. Is if you're going to get an attachment, or if you happen to have an attachment, it's usually because you are in a really low vibe energetic situation. Either you're doing drugs, or you're major alcoholic, or you're in an environment, a very abusive environment with sexual or verbal mental abuse going on, which is keeping you in a very low state, right? That's when you're more apt to pick up an attachment. Now, let's talk about trauma, authoritative voice trauma. And this is what we narrowed down to be happening with my client yesterday, because the authoritative trauma, right? That voice has come from, for this particular person, or for a lot of us, that authoritative trauma voice comes from someone that beat you down in a way, right? That made you feel less than, that put so many things up here for you to achieve, and that you've never been able to achieve it, or they put this thing up here for you to achieve so that you will receive their love, right? It's like this love relationship going on, this codependent type of relationship going on. And whether that person dies, or say, for example, you go through a divorce, and you're no longer around that person, you've created this thick ass neural pathway that is still going to be talking shit to you. That's still going to say these thoughts, these things to you, like, you're no good, you're never going to make it, you should just go, do harm to yourself, um, and just making you feel like crap. This is what you have to work on in order to lower those neural pathways so that that voice shuts the fuck up, right? Eventually it will. But for my client, like I said, she was struggling with, oh my gosh, do I have an attachment? Or is this trauma thinking? So what we did is we go through, did you go to a haunted place recently? Did you get some antiques? Did you bring something new into the home? Just like when I'm teaching my clients how to help someone else that maybe has an attachment or something crazy going on in their house, the first thing we need to do is interview that client, right? Interview that person. So that's what I was doing with my client last night. Like, and also because I could read energy. I mean, she's clean. She's clean and clear. So I mean, I could tell you if you have attachment, right? By looking at you. But like she's clear. She's got a lot of white energy around her. She's got a lot of angelic energy around her. So after we narrowed this down, made her feel so much better because now she could dive back in and work with spirit, knowing that that derogatory voice that's talking crap to her really isn't an attachment, or it's not an outside spirit talking crap to her. It's actually her trauma that she had. So when we go to make these changes, and we're trying to empower ourselves from being in that weak, disempowered situation, right, or environment or relationship that we were in, um, then of course those voices are going to come bubbling up because you're used to that voice being there. You're used to that voice being there and just smacking you down. This is why it's so important to do a lot of self-development work along with opening up your energetic receptors and being able to communicate with spirit so that like she's hearing the good voices too, right? So like the angels are saying, like the angels she's communicating with are saying, you're doing fine. You're on the right track. Keep going. It's going to be okay. We have something great in store for you. Those are the voices that are of encouragement. And those are the ones that are actually real, right? Um, and those are the ones that she needs to be focusing on as the derogatory trauma voice starts slowing down and slowing down. And it will. This is all trauma, baby, right? We're navigating this human experience so that it could be amazing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you're jumping on now, go ahead and watch the replay and let me know what you think. Let me know if you're experiencing this. And I hope this video helped you discern between the two voices.